Happy Friday. So today we are going to have a live about Ozempic Vagina. All things GLP-1 based towards the vaginal ecosystem. And then we're also going to be discussing the vaginal biome in general. And here's my girls. 1 second. There she is. Hi, Betsy. My girls are coming on. Just give us 1 sec. Okay, Sarah, I accepted your request, but for some reason it's not bringing you on. Betsy, could you send me a request to join, please, honey? Sarah, send me a request. Okay, so I have to request. Okay, so I'm accepting them now. Got them. This is weird. It won't let me accept them. Okay, here we go. Okay, I got you. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, let me accept Sarah's. I'm trying, Sarah. It's weird. It's not. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Let me get the crew in. It says Sarah's unable to join. Sarah, uh-oh. I don't know what that means and why. Uh-oh.
There,
There you are. Ah, yay.
sorry, I had to give Instagram permission.
Oh, that's okay.
Here's my camera. How are you?
Good. It's so good to see you both. Hi, beautifuls.
Hello.
Yes, and hi everyone that's here. Welcome, my little Instagram family. Hey, ladies. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the vaginal ecosystem, Ozempic, how it's affecting the vaginal ecosystem, the Biome FX, as well as some incredible new vaginal and pregnancy probiotics. So I love that you guys are all here. So we're going to tell you why it's happening, what's going on, and how to fix it. Okay. So let's start off with some fun intros. Who wants to go first? Betsy or Sarah?
I can go
Okay.
first. My name is Betsy, and I have been a rep with Microbiome Labs for 4 years now. I've been in the industry for about 6. So at Microbiome Labs, we really focus education. So that's why we're here with Sarah today. I mean, I'm Sarah squared today. But I really love this industry. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I've seen it change countless lives. And so, yeah, it's just a little bit of my backstory.
So in case people don't know what Microbiome Labs is and what you're talking about in the industry, you guys, so both of these girls, they are gut and vaginal specialists, I guess you could say. So when you come to work with me through my vaginal and viral restoration program, this is all through the testing kit through Labs. I use a specialist through Microbiome Labs, and I use the products through Microbiome Labs. So that's a little more of the backstory. All right, Sarah, your turn.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I work with Betsy here at Microbiome Labs, and I actually am a functional nutritionist. That's my background. I had my own practice for several years. I ran a lot of functional labs on my clients and really saw just the difference it made in being able to kind of get to the root cause of what was going on. And so now I work for Microbiome Labs, and I head up the functional lab portion of our company as far as offering support to clinicians such as yourself who are using our labs. So we do have a gut lab and a vaginal lab, and I think we're going to be talking just about the vaginal lab today. So this is our vaginal health kit, and we'll be getting into more about that in a little bit. But today we're here to just talk about why this can kind of help you figure out what's going on with your vaginal health and why that's important. Our vaginal health is actually a lot more important than we have previously recognized, and research is finally catching up with that. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today.
Yes. Sarah, I didn't know you had a practice.
Yes, for about 3 years I had a private practice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a there's a lot of hats to wear, and so I was just ready for a change.
Yes. Well, I mean, what a great change. This is such a phenomenal field, you guys. If you have seen any of the interviews with Kiran Krishnan, He is the original founder of Microbiome Labs. And I think I've done 3 lives with him now. If you haven't seen those, go watch him. I'm actually going to be bringing him back on in the next 2 weeks to talk about how GLPs are affecting the gut microbiome as well. So this is a big deal. Okay, so let's dive in. All right, so question number 1 goes to you, Sarah. Let's first, before we get into how Ozempic is affecting the vagina and the vaginal ecosystem, let's talk about what the vaginal microbiome even is.
Well, it turns out we have a lot more microbiomes than just our gut microbiome. I believe that most of your listeners are probably very well aware of the importance of the gut microbiome on pretty much every body system. Turns out the vaginal microbiome has a pretty profound effect on our bodies as well, especially as women, depending on what your particular health goal is. Our vaginal microbiome can really affect our ability to get pregnant. If it's healthy, we're able to get pregnant more easily and sustain a healthy pregnancy. If it's not in such a great place, that can really affect our ability to get pregnant, carry a healthy pregnancy. If you have recurrent vaginal infections, I think this is something that a lot of us struggle with, and it's just not really talked about because, you know, it's kind of embarrassing. But there is a very strong tie between the vaginal microbiome and things like recurrent yeast infections, BV infections, even STDs, STIs, they're being called nowadays, and also urinary tract infections. So the urinary tract and the vaginal tract have a lot of crosstalk. And so if you have continual urinary tract infections, taking a look at your vaginal microbiome can be very, very helpful. And so our vaginal health kit basically tells you what kind of vaginal microbiome you have. Yes, Betsy, you need one.
I know.
And I mean, I don't know if you want to get into the nitty gritty right now, but I mean, it's such an easy at-home test. It's just literally a swab. Easy peasy, 20 seconds. You stick your swab in the little container, mail it off, and in about 2 weeks, you will know what the cause of your infections is, or maybe whether or not you're going to be able to get pregnant easily or not. It gives you just a lot of information. So basically, we give your vaginal microbiome a label, and that label is called a community state type. It's not a term that we came up with. This is, if you Google community state type, you'll find a lot of information about the vaginal microbiome. And without going too deep, I'm just going to give a very, very, very high level overview. There are 5 community state types, and 3 of them are considered very healthy. There's one that can be healthy, but it can also more transition into an unhealthier state type more easily than the other 3. And then there's one community state type that we don't want to have, that we don't want to see. If you have recurrent infections, if you're struggling with getting pregnant, you might have this community state type. It's community state type 4. And the reason it's not a healthy state type is that a healthy vaginal microbiome is dominated by lactobacillus. And community state type 4 is not dominated by lactobacillus. And if you would like to get more deep into the science of, you know, the mechanisms of action behind that, I'm happy to talk a little more about that. But that's basically the bottom line. If you struggle with infections, if you want to get pregnant, you're not sure what your vaginal state type is, taking this simple test can give you that information. And if you have a community state type 4, that's awesome to know that, because you can transition your community state type into a healthier state type with your guidance, Sarah. That's where you come in, and you put together a personalized plan for them if they had a community state type 4 to transition it into a healthier one.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, there are people, they see me using, they literally DM me, be like, oh, I went and I found some other practitioner that can pull this test for me, and I'm going to go and do it. And then they go and do it, and they get the test results. And then they're like, now what? I'm like, honey, this is why you can't try to like go around what I got set up, because we figure out exactly what's going on. And then I meet with a specialist at Microbiome Labs. We go over the test results, and then we build an incredible I've been building these protocols for over 2 years now, and I've gotten them so legit. I even have my own calendar that I call the pristine pussy calendar for my clients. Yeah, because and that name was from one of my clients that had constant breakouts, odors, and she said to me on a discovery call, she goes, Sarah, I just want a pristine pussy. And I was like, okay. I was like, let's do it. So yeah, everything you said, discharge, BV, reoccurring yeast infections, reoccurring UTIs, constant herpes breakouts. This is pretty much everyone probably watching this live has all of that going on, if not the majority of it at one time, and don't know what to do. And they go to the doctors, they're getting fungicides, they're getting put on antivirals, they're getting antibiotics, but there's no resolve. If anything, it just keeps getting worse. So yeah, what you were saying, the community. So I'm like, we could dive in a little deeper if you guys want, because the community state type 4 is sadly very common. That's what everyone is. That's the majority of the test results I see. So just touch a little bit more on what causes that.
Well, it's the loss of the protective lactobacillus. So lactobacillus creates this environment in our vaginal microbiome that creates like a really strong, healthy mucosal layer. And those lactobacillus bacteria, they compete with pathogens. So if you have a high amount of lactobacillus, then the pathogens, they might still enter your vaginal tract because, I mean, come on, we're all constantly being exposed to things that might infect us, right? But if we have enough lactobacillus to protect us from that, those pathogens can't take a hold, they can't adhere to the vaginal wall. And this actually is closely tied to our gut health. So, there's no microbiome that lives in a vacuum, that lives in a bubble. Our gut health does affect our vaginal microbiome because they are so close in the body, and there's a lot of crosstalk. Even the gut bacteria can cross the membrane internally over into the vaginal tract. And so if you have a high amount of lactobacillus species in your gut, you're more likely to have that healthier vaginal microbiome with the higher amount of lactobacillus. But basically with the community state type 4, there's just not enough lactobacillus in your vaginal tract. So things like Gardnerella, which is a pathogenic strain of bacteria that actually causes BV. So Gardnerella might start proliferating and growing and getting out of control, and then that leads to a BV infection. Or there are all types of Candida species that can start growing, and then you might tend to have more yeast infections with that particular strain. But it could be any number of opportunistic or pathogenic strains that end up taking over. And so just, without getting too sciencey, the pH starts going up. We need a low pH. We need plenty of estrogen in our vaginal tract. And when there's not enough lactobacillus and these other strains take over, the pH goes up, estrogen goes down, it's just basically
It's
a domino effect.
show.
Yeah, exactly. A domino effect. So I really think you can definitely transition the vaginal microbiome if you know what's going on. Mm-hmm. But really what you're going to be doing simultaneously, maybe without meaning to, is you're going to be actually helping your gut to get healthier too. Mm-hmm. So some of the things that you'll do that help the vaginal tract, they're also helping your gut health. And the two are so closely related, you really can't completely separate them. But that's kind of the general gist of what's going on there.
Yeah, that was good. And you know what's funny is in all of the years that I've been getting test results for the vaginal microbiome, I always see Gardnerella and urea plasma and some of these other common ones, never Candida. Never.
Really? Okay.
Never have I had one test with Candida on it. And people are always like, oh, my Candida. And I'm like, honey, it's your Gardnerella,
right.
Actually.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. It's probably more common than seeing Candida. But the thing is, this is why it's so important to run the test if you have symptoms. Yep. The symptoms can look the same, but the bottom, the reason for those symptoms could be very different. Yeah. And they're going to be treated differently. A Candida infection is treated very differently than if you have BV. So you would definitely want to know what you're dealing with.
And that's why I just literally had a girl email me on Friday and she's like, oh, I have this urea. And she was like talking about a urea plasma infection. And she's like, and my doctor put me on a fungicide for a yeast infection and nothing happened. I'm like, because it's the completely wrong treatment,
Right.
you know? And so, yeah, there's a lot of, in the allopathic medicine world, they're still just so limited in what they know and what they test for, what they treat for. And that's why a lot of women are just banging their heads against the wall, having all these constant problems. So thank you for all of that.
Absolutely.
Betsy, let's dive into the fun stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
that's fun too, but let's really get
Solution
into the
time.
nitty gritty of what's going on with the
Yes.
GLPs.
Yes.
So
So go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say Betsy's gonna break it down for us, you guys, of what Ozempic vagina is. Take it away.
So, when Sarah was mentioning how the gut influences the vaginal microbiome, you can go back and look at even your sex hormones. Your sex hormones are actually a huge part of your gut microbiome. That's where they're created, estrogen being a huge one. And when estrogen is low in your vaginal microbiome, that's what creates glucagon. And glucagon is what these lactobacillus bacteria eat. And if they don't have these bacteria, they have nothing to eat. So you're going to lose that colonization. With GLP-1s, they imbalance estrogen, or a lot of women who are already, when they're prescribed GLP-1s, it's because they're already dealing with hormone imbalance. So, like, think your PCOS people. You think of, when you have any kind of insulin disruption, you're going to have hormone disruption. So you're already struggling with it, and then you slow down your digestion, and you're going to start messing with your estrogen a little bit more. So while Ozempic vagina is not any kind of diagnosable condition, it's just something in the medical community people are starting to notice, and it's a trend with these GLP-1s becoming more and more popular. So we're seeing discharge color and consistency changes. We're seeing decreased discharge. We're seeing the pubic mounds and other vulvar areas reduce in their fatty tissue. Loss of pelvic floor strength, because another side effect of GLP-1s is muscle loss. Guess where a huge part of your muscle is. Menstrual cycle changes, but then the biggest one being an increased incidence of vaginal infections. And so ever since I started hearing about Ozempic vagina and I read this article about it, I'm in and out of clinicians' offices all day long. And the beauty of that is I have this huge sample pool to start talking to and seeing what is going out on the street. And I started asking, and a lot of the clinicians I work with are like, well, I never thought to ask, like, oh, is your UTI or your yeast infection, like, are you dealing with that? Or if they thought it was going to be connected. But now, once I started putting those pieces together, they're like, oh, yeah, these patients are seeing higher incidence of these things. So that's why we have to be very good about taking care of our digestive system, and why GLP-1s, as they can be helpful for some people, but these are some things we also have to be thinking about, and the other parts of your body that it affects.
That's interesting that you've been going around. Uh, I've hung out with Betsy and she's always got her little laptop in her briefcase and she's going around all the doctor's offices. So I totally believe what you're saying. You ask it around like, hey, what do you guys see? What do you guys seen? And so that's crazy that it's like, it's going on. It's real.
Mhm.
This is a real thing. So is anyone, I'm curious if anyone here is on a GLP and if you're actually noticing this, if you're noticing an increase of yeast infections, UTIs, any sort of vaginal biome changes since you've been on that, let us know in the comments below. And if you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to post them and we'll try to do a little Q&A throughout. So, okay, Sarah, do you want to say anything in regards to that?
I can't see the questions that are coming in.
Oh,
Can
you
you read it?
can't? Well, so far there aren't any. That's why I just wanted to say, put it out there. If anyone had anything, they're welcome to join. I'll read it out in case, if you can't see it, I'll read it out loud, okay? So let's go over the symptoms of Ozempic vagina again. Can you read those off again?
Yeah, absolutely. So changes of odor and color and consistency of your vaginal discharge, or we're seeing lack thereof. So vaginal dryness. We're seeing increased vaginal infections. That's the biggie we're talking about here, but we're seeing loss of fullness in the pubic mound and other vulvar areas. I have the hardest time with that word always. Loss of strength in the pelvic floor and menstrual cycle changes.
So that is actual physical changes, like in the way
Mhm.
it looks and the way
Mhm.
it's functioning. That's a big deal.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so what's causing that? The decrease in estrogen?
Just the imbalance of estrogen is everything I've been reading, because they don't, again, since it's not a diagnosable condition, they haven't fully done all the sampling, but that's everything that is they're inferring to. Everything says imbalance of estrogen.
Okay. Yeah, and estrogen, go ahead, Sarah. Did you have something to
I
say?
was going to say, what it sounds like you're describing, Betsy, is a community state type 4.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
it's somehow causing, either they had a community state type 4 before, but they just weren't symptomatic. Because you can, I will say this, I didn't mention this earlier, you can have a community state type 4 with no symptoms. The only symptom could be, you're trying to get pregnant and you're not getting pregnant. You don't know why. You run the test and you realize you're community state type 4. But a lot of people that aren't trying to get pregnant, they might have a community state type 4 without symptoms. So you can have symptoms or be asymptomatic. A lot of women with actual active VV infections are asymptomatic. So either these people, these women, that are experiencing this Ozempic vagina, they either had a community state type 4 and just didn't know it, or the change in hormones in their body and just all the changes that this is causing have caused their vaginal microbiome to shift into that
Mhm.
community type 4.
Yeah.
And thinking about eating habits changing as well, right? Because we know they're so connected, your gut microbiome and vaginal microbiome. When you're on a GLP-1, you're eating less, most likely. You're probably, you want to make those lifestyle changes, but, when you don't have that appetite and that appetite suppression, you will just eat whatever you can get down. And then the biggest one being the slowing of motility. So, right, if you think of anyone on a GLP-1, none of these people are going to the bathroom, and that does have effect on your gut microbiome.
Yeah. Constipation is already a huge deal. Pretty much everyone I talk to is super constipated. And so I didn't know that GLPs were actually causing constipation.
Yes, so that's their mechanism of action, right? Is to say to your brain that I'm full, and how it does that is slowing motility. It's going to
Oh my
slow
gosh.
everything down, slows down peristalsis. It's telling your body, we don't need to do this. And so that inherently that will slow or cause constipation.
You're literally full of shit.
Literally.
Literally. Oh my gosh. And that is like my number one goal always as a coach. I'm like, how are you pooping? Like I ask everyone, like, tell me about your poops. And they're like, I go once a day, if that. I'm like, you're not pooping
Yep.
enough. Okay, so Robin says on Ozempic due to diabetes, but never thought the two were connected. Have had more issues recently, not in the beginning. Okay, so there you go. So Robin's on Ozempic and she's having more vaginal issues since being on it. Interesting. Well, I mean, it's making sense now, right? It's all making sense. Okay, so do you either of you want to expand on that in any
Well,
direction?
Betsy, do you want to give a little hope?
Yeah,
Yes,
Because
exactly. Like, where do
please.
we?
we're not
Wait,
here just
oh,
for doom and gloom. Like, there
Yes.
are wonderful
Yes.
solutions. So yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say, Sarah, since you're a functional nutritionist, and Betsy, you just mentioned nutrition, and I'm always trying to drill into people's head, like we have to feed our bugs, right? So let's talk about food first and how important food is for the gut and the vaginal microbiome, especially.
Okay. Who?
Oh, Sarah, you can.
I think we could
I
both
don't
talk
care.
about. I'm pretty sure we could both talk about this quite a bit.
Yeah,
So.
Sarah, why don't you start, and then Betsy.
Well, I would say if there's a slowing of peristalsis and you know that things are going to be slowing down, the first thing you want to do is really increase your water intake because that's going to help things move through your system. But also, if you know you're not going to be that hungry, really plan your meals so that you're eating enough fruits and vegetables, fibers. One of my very favorite things to do is to add seeds and vegetables to smoothies. You can, do like a mixed berry smoothie. I love steaming cauliflower and broccoli and chopping it up really fine and freezing it and then adding that to my smoothies instead of ice to thicken them up. So just like if you're not going to be eating as much, just making sure that you're getting enough fiber and enough nutrition in what you are eating. Adding a scoop of chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds. I love to alternate the seeds because those are so, so good at supporting your hormone levels. They have so many minerals in them and they are just feeding your beneficial bacteria all those healthy fibers. They also will help you go to the bathroom. So it's really like seeds and smoothies are your friend when it comes to, not a huge appetite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Robin says, "Ooh, that's good." Yeah, I actually never thought about that. Freezing cauliflower and broccoli. I'm gonna try that. Yeah, that was a good one. What about you, Betsy?
I was just going to say fiber. I feel like there's this, everyone focuses on proteins. Sarah, you and I have talked at length about that, and just fiber, fiber, fiber. We all need to be putting more fiber in our diet.
Excuse me, I have to close my door because someone's smoking. It's driving me nuts.
That would also drive me nuts.
That also affects your vaginal microbiome.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I never knew this. Smoking
Yes.
affects your vaginal microbiome. I forgot to mention that earlier, that can be bad for your community C types.
Yes, smoking is horrible for so many things,
Right.
especially your vaginal bacteria. Okay, yeah, so exactly what Betsy said. And I love what you guys said together. And Sarah, this is one of the things that I always say to my girls too, because I feel like women already are just not eating enough. And then when they do eat, it's not like maybe something that's the best, you know? And so if your appetite is already going to be suppressed and say you're only going to want to have one meal a day or barely something small every day, please be super intentional. Like what Sarah said, make it a very intentional meal of like, hey, I'm going to get my fibers. I'm going to get some greens, get some fruits. Like, I mean, I love the idea of a smoothie because you can literally like pineapples and spinach and chia seeds and cauliflower, and you can make that just one badass smoothie if that's what your day is gonna, revolve around. So yeah, fiber is the key. Really, we talk about this all the time in my program too. For reviving the gut or the vaginal microbiome is fiber, and then like you mentioned earlier, it's the glucose, right? The glucose, the bacteria feed on the natural
Glucogen, yeah.
the glucogen. Yeah, glucogen. They feed on the natural sugar. And where do we find that?
Oh,
Fruits.
yeah. So it's glucogen is an intermediary step in your energy cycles. So when you think of ATP and where your body gets energy, that's where glucogen, and then there's like gluconeogenesis, and that's the breaking down of sugar. Sugar is very complex once you start getting into the nitty gritty of it in the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, it's basically whole foods.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
Whole foods. It's plants and whole foods. Those are your friends. Okay, so Sarah, is there anything else that you want to say about this before we move on to some supplements that they can play with?
Not really. Just, if you're struggling with any kind of issues down there, it's a very affordable test as far as functional labs go. Like I said, it's an at-home test. If you order it from Sarah, she ships it straight to we actually just drop ship it straight to your house. It gets there in a couple days. You take a little swab. It doesn't hurt. It's very easy to take. Send it in and you have answers, and then you have a plan,
Yeah.
and It's very empowering. It's not knowing what's going
Yes.
on can be scary sometimes. But once you know what's going on, it's like, oh, okay, well, we just need to do this, this, and this, and then I'll be feeling better. And so,
Yeah.
if you're even considering it, I say just go for it. I mean, you're gonna get those answers and start feeling a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it is. It's, my vaginal and viral restoration program is such a beautiful thing because my whole point as a coach is to provide answers because that's what everyone's lacking. What's wrong with me? And then how do I fix it? And that's where I come in. I give you the what's wrong with you, and then I give you the how do we fix it. And I've had incredible results where women, they completely changed their entire, in 4 months, I flipped one of my clients' vaginal microbiome, like not like halfway upside down, but pretty close to it. It was very quick. And so the way the vaginal microbiome can bounce back is beautiful. It's beautiful. And so let's go into that. Let's talk about these
Yes.
guys.
So, right, we're not leaving you high and dry and being like, oh, everything sucks and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
There's a lot you can do lifestyle wise, but now, I always say you're adding more fuel to the fire with supplements. There's things you can do lifestyle wise, but this is just going to promote all the other good things you're doing. So, the first product I want to talk about is called Vaginal Balance. So, when we're talking about our community state types, it's based on your lactobacillus species. So the thought process is we have a blend in here called Astarte, which is named after the Mediterranean goddess of fertility, which I just think is a fun little
Yeah.
anecdote. But
Yeah.
it's the 4 dominant strains in the vaginal microbiome. So we did a study. It's an oral probiotic. So you take it and it makes it through the gastric system. And we have what is the word? Seeding studies that it gets from the gut microbiome to the vaginal microbiome. One of the reasons is that it's just proximity. We have a gland that helps with translocation through the perineum. Really cool that your body, how much it interacts. We did a study looking at BB, actually in particular with this strain. And we took 36 women, 18 were given Astarte and standard of care. And compared to the placebo group that had a 65% recovery rate, our treatment group had a 100% recovery rate. So amazing what you can do with bugs is what I always say in this industry. But we know that not only changing your lactobacillus species, where we want to see those go up, because when these go up, we see pH go down, we see more hydrogen peroxide. And when we talk about the gut microbiome and we're like the jungle and diversity, the vaginal microbiome, I say, keep it simple, stupid. Hi.
Keep it simple,
And
stupid. I
keep
love
it
that.
simple, stupid. So it's lower diversity and keep it nice and acidic. And that's what these strains are going to help do. The next thing is, I know we were talking about Candida, but I know you're not seeing it on your test, Sarah, but other Sarah sees them when she's talking to other practitioners about the test. Is we have a strain called LA5, and it's a lactobacillus acidophilus strain, and its goal is to stop candida colonization. We did a study and it stopped colonization by 65%, just standalone. They put it in a probiotic like smoothie. Really cool what we saw with that. And then finally, kind of the third thing people are always dealing with is urinary tract issues. We want to support the whole vulvar area. So we have cranberry powder in there. So when Sarah was holding it up, you saw it was kind of pink. That's why it's not just fun branding. It's because it's from the cranberry powder. So we can support urinary tract health as well. Uh, um, just some feedback we've gotten. We launched these products in January, and I'm sure Sarah has plenty of stories as well. But I love these two. Two separate practitioners called into our customer service line on the same day, and they both had elderly patients with vaginal dryness, tearing, pain during sex, took vaginal balance for a month, and both reported no pain, less dryness, and they were like complete night and day. And it was just fun on the same day. These two separate people, who knows on what parts of the country they were on, called in just to tell us this.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, the feedback so far on my end has been really good too. Everyone loves it. And you did, when we had lunch together a little bit ago, you did share with me a way for them to put it. Why don't you say that? Because I forget what
Yes.
that was.
Yeah. So if you do want to use it as a suppository, totally can. There's nothing bad's gonna happen. Technically, we can't tell you to do that, but you get a silicone mold like you would use for baking. You would use olive oil. Put the open up the capsule, mix it in, freeze it, and you can use it as a suppository then. Do not use coconut oil. Coconut oil is actually really basic, so it actually is going to increase that pH like crazy, causing an imbalance. That's something I didn't know personally. I'd been told use coconut oil as a personal lubricant, use it for this. And so this was when we were learning about these products. I was like, "Oh, I've been misinformed." Very much so.
Yeah, it's extra virgin olive oil, right?
Yes.
That we're supposed to use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember when Kieran told me, take some EVOO with you to your PAP and ask them to use that on you instead of their petroleum-based jelly. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's like, it's so good. Go ahead.
Yes. He always would talk about that too. And so at one point in Microbiome Labs' history, he tried to make a spore-based lubricant. Really cool. Awesome. We were all so excited. And you would open it, work great. It sat for like an hour and it would smell so bad.
Oh,
It smelled
boy.
like rotting hamburgers. So they quickly had to move on from that. But it's good to know it's like in the ethos of Microbiome Labs where this was something that was like always on our minds.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so they would get like an ice cube tray.
Yeah,
That's like a
yeah,
gel,
silicone one.
a
Yeah.
silicone, fill it up with EVOO. They could open the capsule, sprinkle it in, freeze it.
Yes.
And then when they take it out, it's just frozen oil. That's, and I would imagine that's kind of cold for a second.
Yes.
You're like, and
It feels
then
good though if you've got something going on down there.
that's true. If you have like a breakout, a painful breakout, or like a yeast infection, that probably would
And
feel
I would
kind of
say
good.
do it before bed so you're not, standing up. Gravity would be working against you. So just
Yeah.
do it before bed and let it marinate.
Yeah. But I also put these, I mean, back to that intentional smoothie. I put these in my smoothie. There's no flavor. So why not, you could do something like that too. But it's 2 a day. So it's 2 a day. And pretty much this is the best probiotic on the market by far. Like vaginal probiotic on the market. Like they just blew everyone away. Like with the release of this in January, it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Um,
We own the strains too. So these are ours. We put the money and the time to do the research on all of this. So it's not like we're getting them from someone else. This is something that's homegrown and we own.
yeah, I love
And
that.
all of the strains in that product are the strains that are found in a healthy vaginal microbiome. So as Betsy was saying, our research shows that after, I don't remember exactly how many days, but after a certain amount of days of taking it, the vaginal microbiome starts to get seeded with those particular strains of lactobacillus, and those are the ones that you want in your vaginal microbiome. There are many, many strains of lactobacillus, so we pick these ones specifically for the vaginal area.
Yes. And the one that I always try to educate my community on is like, remember this name, Lactobacillus crispatus. Crispatus is the best one. It's your favorite strain that you want your vagina to be 100% in. And there's even community state type 5, which is my favorite community state type. And I hope to get my vagina there one day. But this thing is so that when you're that state type, you have so much amazing good bacteria that nothing can touch you. You can't even contract an STD or an STI because it's like ironclad. So, well, are we going to talk about the pregnancy one too? Because I do have a lot of young women. And so if they are on this one and they get pregnant, I would like them to know to transition to the pregnancy probiotic.
Yep. So pregnancy support, It is for during pregnancy. It's for your late stage pregnancy. It has that same Astarte blend, so those four dominant species. It has that because we want to keep everything balanced. It also has a Lactobacillus rhamnosus strain, and we derive that from a healthy infant gut, and we can see that it gets from mom's GI to mom's vaginal microbiome to baby's microbiome. And how they tracked that was that we gave it to moms from 33 weeks to 6 weeks postpartum. And then they followed those kids all the way to 7 years old. And up until 7 years old, they had a 35% reduction in like red, itchy, flaky skin.
Wow.
So it helps with overall immune health. And then the other one in there is it's called, oh, I'm so sorry, I flipped them. The LGG is derived from breast milk, and then the istulose is derived from a healthy infant gut. And istulose is really good for immune priming for an infant. So, again, you're taking this 33 weeks on. I have even talked if like halfway through, you can start taking it. And if you don't know if you're going to have to do a cesarean, we know that if you are born via cesarean, you are automatically not having all of the microbes you need from going through mom's birth canal. So we don't have any research on this, but this is just my thought process of you're priming baby before we're even taking our first breath. And I think more is always more when we're talking about, making life.
Yeah, and so there's no other probiotic like this on the market where it starts building the baby's microbiome in the freaking womb.
Mhm.
What? That's amazing. And the reason why I really love this too is because when I was going through my labor and delivery with my two kids, I tested positive for group strep B. I think I told you this at lunch. And because of that, it's standard practice that they force you to be on an IV antibiotic when you're giving birth. And because of that, it destroyed my son's gut microbiome before he was even out the gate. And his entire childhood, we were at the allergist dealing with seasonal allergies and hardcore medications and asthma. And I've now learned it's because of that.
Mhm.
And so if it's great to be on for your baby no matter what, but in case that was the situation, it would be protecting and helping your baby through that as well.
Mhm.
So like I will put any of my nieces that get pregnant or anyone I know, I'm like, I'm gonna send them a bottle and be like, you're on this. You're on this. Yeah. So yeah, that is awesome. Ironclad vagina for all. Yes, we can get there. We can get there. And so that definitely, I hope you guys are picking up the message of restoration, and that's why I call my programs restoration, the vaginal fiber restoration, because it can happen. You're not just stuck with BV and discharge and odors and pain and all the things that you may be going through, breakouts, like it all can get resolved. And I'm sorry if you feel like it hasn't up until this point. You may not just have been in the right hands. So, anything else that you guys want to say before we wrap it up? Thank you so much for everything you said. I know that we could go into it because this is very in depth. So I think for surface level, this was pretty good.
Yeah. If you need to know more, book a discovery call.
Exactly.
Thanks, girl. Book a discovery call. All right. Well, just know that these are my girls. And if you are working with me, the name of the probiotic. Oh, yeah, sorry. Let me drop this really fast. So if you buy my handbook, it's called the Fuck Infections Viral Support Handbook. Both of these are linked out in there to my Microbiome Labs portal. So I know, Robin, you just recently got the handbook. So you can go onto the page that has this one, and there's a clickable link to my Microbiome Labs portal. This one, if you sign up through my portal, which is also linked out through my bio, I know I got a lot of links in my bio, you guys. I'm sorry. So you go to my bio, it's a Beacons link, and you got to kind of scroll for a little bit until you get down to all my supplement companies. Microbiome Labs, I think, is the very first one under my top favorite supplements. When you click on that one, you're gonna, if you're not already with me, you're gonna have to quick register your account. And this bad boy in my account was only $16.50. So not only is it like top quality, but it's affordable through, if you don't go through my portal, I think it's what, retail at 32, 34.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So go through my portal, 16 bucks. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's some shipping, but you know. So again, go through the Beacons link, scroll all the way down. Robin's, yeah. Robin's like, yes. Yeah, I know. We love affordable. We love effective and affordable. I know it's the
Do you
shit.
want to
So that's
tell
why.
them how much the test is too? Do you have that linked as well, Sarah?
No, so that's in, I have it rolled into my
Oh,
program,
okay, gotcha.
my gut and viral restoration program. So when they come into the program and work with me, it's the cost of the test is just already included in the cost of the
Got
program.
it.
Yeah, so if they want to work with me in the vaginal viral restoration program, then they'd have to book a discovery call. And then we'll talk about, and I show everyone the test. I show them my clients' test results. I show them the templates and the protocols I build. And then it's up to them to step into it if they want to. So.
Got it.
Yes, I know that I'm going to be meeting. I have met with some of them and I have some discovery calls coming up. So this is really great. So thank you guys. Thank you both for being here,
Yes.
Sarah and
Yeah, thank
Betsy.
you
Yes,
so
this
much
was
for having
awesome.
us. This was great.
Yes. All right, ladies. If you have any questions after this, anyone in the audience, feel free to DM me. Again, just go explore all my links and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Sending you love. Bye, everyone.